Hey, you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forged Lines Forever. Today, I have a 3v3 ladder match here on the most amazing Neuroxis map generator. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players, starting off with Team 1 in the Northeast, also known as the Red Team, ending with Team 2, also known as the Blue Team in the Southwest. Starting off with Team 1 Southern player, then working our way counterclockwise. We have in orange, the color orange, Team 1's Tynet. He is a UEF for this match as a 1527 rating. To the north here, we have in ruby red another UEF here for Team 1. It is Katawonga. He is a 1615 rated. He is the highest rated player on Team 1, or of course the Red Team. And of course in the west here, we have Nabawasser here. He is a Chevy Crimson UEF player this game. He is a 1415 rating, which I will note every single player on Team 1 is the UEF faction, so there are no Aeons, there are no Seraphim, there are no Cybrans for Team 1. And I will make a note, in the ratings, at least for this game, there is a 15 in each of their ratings. So Katawonga and Nabawasser have it at the end, and Tynet have it at the beginning. Coincidence? Possibly. No, who knows? Starting off here with Team 2's Northern player, we have in Amethyst Purple Scarecrow as a Cybran. He's a 1493 rated, almost a 1500, just a couple points away from getting to that pro level. And again, he is a Cybran for this match. To his south, we have another Cybran for Team 2. It is Kamer. He is in Stitch Blue as a 1741 rated player. He is not only the highest rated player on his team, but he is also the highest rated player overall. And last but not least, in Royal Blue, we have Exterminator Hun. He is a Seraphim for this match at a 1239 rating. So for Team 2 side, or Blue Team side of the map, we have 2 Cybrans, 1 Seraphim, no UEF, because I think Team 1 took them all, and no Aeon for Team 2, which for the entirety of this match, there are no Aeon players. Apologies to those old to the Princess. Hopefully you enjoy the game nonetheless. And for these 6 players on the map, let's take a look at the reclaim situation. We have to scoop up, currently sitting at 3,000 mass, which in other games is nothing, especially when we get to 6v6, 7v7s. But in a 6-player game, 3v3 situation, that's about 500 mass per player. That is not a terrible amount. It's not great by any means, but it's not too bad. Looks like a little bit of that was already scooped up by Kamer. And to be fair, there is a 475 rec. They're all these little Aeon. I think they're a T1 facility, it looks like. So each player technically could have their own facility and a little bit of mass on the field. And in terms of the mechs locations here for both of our teams, there are a couple of mechs here in the middle of the map for Team 1 to scoop up, as well as also that's a quad mechs over there. They're close enough, and there's really nothing else around them. And in the back, not really a lot back there. That's pretty much all of the main grouping of mechs. I guess that's a Trimex position up there. I'll just give it to Nabawasser, calling that a Trimex. Bone right says Scarecrow, talking about something. Anyway, that is the mech situation here for Team 1. Where our comms are going so far, it just looks like it's going to be down this main lane for land. There is a little bit of sneaky maneuvers that you can kind of do with some hover tech units around the little plateaus there, and of course the water section, which is a decent chunk. Our players can utilize Navy decently effective in getting to Team 1 and Team 2's other bases. I'd say the main focus would be Team 1's Tynet going into water, so we can go after Exterminator Hun's main base, and of course the reverse for Team 2 Scarecrow going after Team 1's Katawonga. Not Katawonga, excuse me, Nabawasser. We do see that comms are actually starting to meet up in the middle. 5 of the 6 of them are right here. I did say that's where most of the land is going to happen. This upper plateau has a nice little hunter and a mole, but they can't really go anywhere because they're stuck on that upper plateau. No way to egress? Degress? I think it's egress. I always confuse myself. I think it's ingress and degress. Or egress? I don't know. Some English word for something. Doesn't matter. I'm not good at English anyway. ACU says Nabawasser. No, that is a Zooey running around. We do see that now the 6th player has joined the middle of the map here for Team 2, or in the game overall, that being Exterminator Hun. Everybody is in this tight little environment here. There are no, one player over here, 1 player for Team 2 kind of thing, 1v1, 1v1. It is a 3v3 down the middle, just like the game is, just how sometimes life is. It's just straight down the middle. There's no left or right. It's just go. We do see these UEF comms are huddling together for warmth. They're not fat, they're chunky in terms of their build. They kind of remind me if a Fat Boy was an ACU. That's kind of what I would imagine it looked like. We do see, of course, the Sirens a little more slender. And, of course, with the Seraphim, they are there's no hover architecture on board. I feel like that would be a little bit cool to have these little silos or whatever, missiles, arches, whatever nonsense those are, maybe hovering, kind of like the Awasau bomber, how part of it technically is just hovering next to the other part. I feel like that'd be pretty cool, but anyway, that's just me talking about game design and art and whatnot. Speed has been started here for Kamer. They are assisting that commander, so going heavy gun very early. Not heavy gun, but early gun. And going for another gun upgrade for Scarecrow. This will allow Team 2 to push in against the 3 commanders from Team 1. Team 1's Tynet is going to walk into a world of hurt here. Here comes Kamer, first shot-on-shot action here between these commanders on Team 1 and Team 2. And Tynet is underpowered in that regard. He doesn't have the range upgrade, doesn't have the damage upgrade. And Team 1's Katawonga and Navarese are dealing with a little bit of some pushing to the north from those units inbound from Scarecrow, who again, he is rooted to the spot, but is not going to worry about that because he's creating a nice little exclusion zone with his units and the help of his teammate of Kamer. Even in a 2v1 situation here, Katawonga and Tynet are outmatched, outgunned, outranged, out whatever. And even if that T1 PD does get built, which it will, that Kamer commander can still outrange it, so it's not really great. We do see another gun upgrade going down for Exterminator Hun. The second one is done for Scarecrow. These 3 blue players on Team 2 being the only 3 blue players on Team 2. Well, technically 2, but anyway. I feel like the third player should be Tropical Ocean Blue, and this should be blue in the scoreboard, but that's just me being picky. Anyway, these 2 gun commanders are going to force back all 3 commanders for Team 1. And this game, of course, is not 10 minutes long, so you know this isn't just going to net in a severe loss for Team 1, just based on the timestamp for the video. But it is very impressive to see everybody in the game going down the middle, and now everybody on Team 2 going for a gun and shoving Team 1 back. We do see a naval facility has been constructed for Tynet in the east, taking advantage of the fact that Team 2's commanders are focused in the middle of the map, and a couple of units do get by this little hillock here. Well, I don't know what you would call that, in between a mountain and a plateau. I guess a tiny little valley. Nah, I don't know. Team 1 PD trying to be built. It's not going to do a whole lot. These 2 commanders can outrange them, and there's even bombers inbound to assist all of those engineers. All those engineers are gone. Ooh, they were just trying to provide a living for their families, and they just got annihilated. Granted, they were building PD, to be fair, but still. We do see Exterminator Hun has, of course, lagged behind his 2 teammates, but his 2 teammates have gun. He now has gun. Everybody on Team 2 has gun. Team 1 has no upgrades. 2 of them in the yellow. 1 of them a little bit singed, but still in the green. But this could be a deadly situation for Team 1 if they cannot get this under control. A couple of units trying to run by, but Navarese is saying, no, go away. We don't want you here. Why are you in our space? In the southeast here, we do see not Nano, but a nice little sub online for Exterminator, going after these 3 frigates that don't have torp defenses or torpedoes on board in general, which will put Team 2 a little bit ahead in that regard. But I wouldn't be surprised if somebody goes for, yep, there it is, T2 already online, or coming online here for Tynet. And here comes Kamer going after Tynet and Katawonga. Maybe he's going to go for the double kill. Maybe he wants the triple kill. Engineer is going to be dropping nearby Navarese to assist with that upgrade. Katawonga maybe was just going to full send it back home, or full retreat it, or full pull out, or whatever the phrasing is, opposite of full send it. Bomber does get shot down, but I think it did a little bit of damage to a couple of these units. T2 coming online here for Katawonga. That gun upgrade needs to be built sooner rather than later. And gun upgrade is starting here for Team 1's last remaining player to go for an upgrade. All 3 are rooted to the spot, and these 2 Sirens are, they're rooted to the spot. Let's go after them. Nano repair has been started for Team 1. Who is that again? That is Navarese. And then this is Catawanga, and then this is Tynet. All of those T1 units are inbound to provide a nice little spacing for those commanders. Nano is almost, not Nano, but Gun is almost done. Nano is a third the way done. Those Cybern commanders get pushed back, and Team 2's Exterminator does come in to assist. Maybe a little bit too late to the party to really be effective. Catawanga did a great job, of course, assisting his teammates and giving them that time to build up their defenses, whether it be T2, whether it be Gun, whether it be Nano, whether it be whatever. They have a little bit of space, which they weren't going to have without those units throwing themselves at their opponents. But still, Team 2's commanders, both in the yellow over here, those Cyberns, but they're decently high yellows. One has veterancy, one does not, but almost has veterancy, I might add. Exterminator Hunt pushes in against that gun comm of Catawanga. Catawanga is not going to let him go. It looks like maybe he'll shove him away, but those two commanders from Team 2 are still here, and it's not looking good. If everybody on Team 2 engages, that could be a dead comm, but of course Tynet has T2. He's building PD. Naval has Gun and Nano now, so he'll be able to survive a couple of hits. Lots of upgrades very quickly for Team 2, then forces everybody on Team 1 to go for upgrades. Makes this game, of course, very, very interesting. And now Team 1 is like, ooh, we're going to push you back now. One has Gun and Nano, one has TT, one has Gun. So one can PD creep a little bit, or at least build defenses as they move. Navalwasser goes, okay, fine, leave me alone. But look at this pressure from Team 2 all the way essentially into Team 1's almost main base, or bases, I should say. Team 1 on this eastern side has now taken out the naval facility. A couple of Yenzin in the water, as well as, of course, actually hovering over the water, excuse me, and, of course, the Zhao Issel in the water, the little Team 1 attack sub. Valiants are coming online. Where are those governors? Is that a governor? Yes, it is. T2 tactical missile cruiser nonsense coming online here for Team 1 here shortly. Nano repair has been started for Catawanga. And again, the downside with having everybody on your team going for the same faction is there's no variety in terms of, well, there's some factions that have hives, there's some factions that have drones, there's some factions that have, you know, this, that, the other thing. They don't have that, but if somebody dies, there's no, you know, Seraphim ASFs and Cybern ASFs and UEF ASFs. They're all the same faction, really easy if you just want to double-click instead of Alt-A. And, of course, you get all of your air units instead of just the ones that you double-click. Well, you double-click on a unit and it selects all of the same type on screen, that sort of thing. Nano repair is done for Catawanga. And Navalwasser leading the charge. T2 almost done here for Exterminator Hunt. He, of course, is now dropped into the yellow with his two Siren commanders now back in the green. So while these two were running the rough shot, Exterminator Hunt pushed in. And then Exterminator Hunt held the line for those comms to fall back. Very much a nice little fade and punch and fade and punch and fade and swerve, or whatever the term for it is, where one player will take the hit, fall back, the other player will take the hit, that one will fall back, and it's kind of this nice teeter-totter back and forth that goes on. But now we are once again in not necessarily the middle of the map, but a bit further away from Team 1's main bases, and it's 3 UEF, 2 Cybern, 1 Seraphim, no Aeons to speak of in this game. Team 1 PD hurriedly trying to be built to deal with the engineers from Team 1's Tynet. Unfortunately, that PD will finish. Tynet body blocking for his PD emplacement, and Exterminator Hunt is starting to not look great. He's going to drop into the red here shortly. T2 PD targeting that comm, and Kamer now acting as a nice little body block or body shield or whatever for that comm. Unfortunately, I think Exterminator Hunt is going to die here. There goes the first play of the game, and Navalwasser and Catawanga are now in the low yellows, but Kamer and Scarecrow are also in the yellow. I feel like if all of these players engage and stay decently close to one another, that could just be a murder-suicide, murder-suicide, murder-suicide situation here. And Kamer does even drop into the red here, so a lot of players have taken a lot of damage. Bombers come back for a second pass. They don't get the comm. They drop them to about 1138 hit points. And if anybody is a Star Wars fan, you'll know that number. And, of course, now we're seeing a little bit more of the breaking away of the comms for Team 2. They're like, nope, see ya, bye. We're going home now. Or at least in that direction at a minimum, getting some distance between them and their opponents. Catawanga and Navalwasser now facing down a couple of Team 1 units. Nothing too worrisome for them Again, they have some interceptors assisting them with any sort of bomber nonsense from Team 2. And here come the cruisers inbound to Exterminator Hun's base. I shouldn't say it's actually his base. It's technically Cameron's now, but it was his base. It is now a 2v3 game in favor of the all-UEF team of Team 1, the red team. T3 land online for Scarecrow. And interestingly enough, he's producing trebuchets, not the bricks or even the loyalists that you would presume that he builds, or normally would build as a Cybrid. Very interesting. Maybe he just wants to be mobile artillery nonsense instead of going T2 missile launcher mobile nonsense. He wants to go for the artillery version of that missile. So TMD cannot affect those artillery pieces because that's their artillery. They're not missiles. Even though they're still a yellow dot, they are not missiles, as Team 2's Kamer has done, which has gone straight Vipers. Vipers, of course, are very annoying, especially when you face off against them, because even if you shoot the missile down, they can split and still do some damage. Not as much as the original missile, but they still do some, which is very annoying to deal with if you have a lot of TMD that are not the volcanoes that actually just pull the entire missile away instead of shoot at it. We do see some Yenzing pushing back against the cruisers and the Valiants in the water with some frigate assistance. Looks like Tynet should be fine here, but he is facing a decent amount of them, as well as some Zooies, so he has to keep those units moving as much as possible. Mexes are going down all over the place here for Team 2. The mass income situation here, Team 1 230, Team 2 209, 207. Let's call it 210. It is a 20 mass advantage between these two teams of Team 1 versus Team 2. Nothing huge for Team 1. It's better than nothing, but it's not the best thing. It could be, 400 mass. It could be 1,000 mass. But they'll take any advantage, especially because they just got bombarded by those comms early on. But they did get a kill for that, which, will it work for them? Will it not work for them? It just depends on what Kamer does with all of that mass and units and whatnot from his teammate. Now Team 1 is slowly pushing in. They're not going to just steamroll or try to steamroll Team 2's comms. They just want to take it slow, especially with Tynet here, going for a radar system, going for TMD, going for a PD, going for a shield, making sure that he has something to fall back to if these commanders are under threat, which is very nice to have, especially because the land situation is pretty much down the middle or a long way around. There's a little bit of a kind of outcropping over here. Nice little shortcut to this base over here for Tynet, but again, you have to at least get to the middle, and then you have to go through a little bit of a kill box, a lot of kill box, and then of course to the base. Naval saying TML, and there is one of them up here for Scarecrow. He's using the adjacency bonus to cut down on the mass cost. Definitely a smart play there, especially because he hasn't fully ringed his T2 mexes yet, so that's not a huge issue, especially this early on. It's actually a smart play, to be fair, and actually has a TMD to protect said tactical missile launcher as well. The only thing is where is he going to launch that tactical missile? Team 1 has noticed that, so it's only a matter of time before that thing is taken offline. There's no AA, I might add. There's a couple of flak, a couple being one over there being mobile, so a couple of bombers could come and take that out really nice and easily. But now we have a drop inbound from Team 1's Nabawasser, dropping some pillars down on top of these engineers. I don't know if they'll do that much damage. There is a tickle cannon nearby, but there's only 2 units, and there's 1 tickle cannon. 1 unit is already dead. The engineers, of course, cannot attack enemy units. They can reclaim, which is almost worse. Unless you're the Sparky, then you can shoot. But those units don't do that much. If they were Titans, if they were Perseus, they would have done a lot more damage. But again, I do love the attempt tactical missile outbound from Nabawasser as well, going after this mex over here. It doesn't look like it's protected by that TMD. It is, but unfortunately it takes 2 shots to take out the missile. And there goes a nice 9 mass per second for Scarecrow. In the water situation in the southeast for Team 1, it's not looking super great. They built a couple of facilities pretty far forward, but they're being pushed back by these Yenzi, and they need the Neptune. That would be very effective at dealing with those hover units. Lasers hardly, if ever, miss. So there's no sense that the units could quote-unquote dodge the simulated shots of this game, because they're lasers, they're not projectiles. I think it's time to speed this game up just a smidgen just because it's kind of dying down on the action. But we'll take a look at the game overall. Team 1 sitting at, of course, 3 players remaining. Team 2 has suffered the only loss of the game so far, that being Exterminator Hun. Let me know down in the comments, of course, what team you think is going to win, or which team, I should say, is going to win this game. Of course, if you haven't done so already, because why not at this point, please like the video and, of course, subscribe to the channel. Of course, as always, thank you so very much for watching. And share this video with, most importantly, your pets, because your pets deserve quality content just as much as you deserve quality content, and hopefully that I provide that service to each and every one of you. Shield has been started here for Katawanga in the middle. He already has nano and gun, of course. Naval has gun and nano, and he's sitting underneath the shield. Not the same thing. Similar, but not same thing. Feel like the shield should be built underneath the shield, but that's just me nitpicking here a little bit. And Tyna has T2 on board. More missiles outbound from Team 2 side of the map now. Scarecrow pumping those out. Team D have been built. You can see those missiles split apart. They are very annoying, very similar to the Vipers, but unfortunately they are taken out by those Buzzkill. Lots of Vipers, speaking of which, here on this upper plateau. Maybe they'll try to shoot down on Team 1, but again, if Katawanga can't stand underneath the shield, at least he can put shields around them, getting those parashields and a lot of pillars, I might add, around that commander. He might send it in to do a lot of land damage, I surmise, with all those units stacking up on top of him. And all of those Vipers go after a TMD over here to the west. And now they're going to go after, or at least try to go after that mechs up there. More TMDs being built all the time. You can see the missiles split apart. They don't do a lot of damage, but they do something. And over a long period of time, it's going to do something. And something is always better than nothing. We do see a couple of units dropped off here from Team 2's Kamer. They are the Loyalists, of course, so they can redirect missiles at their whim. Of course, there's a cooldown for that. And they also have EMP weapons on board, so they are very annoying to deal with, especially in large quantities. But you don't really see them in large quantities, which is kind of nice. They're similar to the Titan in the sense they're weaker than their bigger brother of the Brick, but they are very, very useful in their utility aspect, not necessarily in their damage aspect. And unfortunately, those Loyalists have been just thrown onto the pyre. Interceptor fight will happen over here. Isn't super consequential because it's not T3 ASF or any sort of gunships or anything sort of like that. But again, having a little bit of air control is definitely better than having no air control at all. Team 2 has no T3 air. Actually, excuse me, they might being most likely will have one online here shortly, but they don't have one currently. Team 1 does have a T3 air facility online. We'll have a second T3 air facility online, and so far that is still T2, or at least staying T2 for the time being, so no third T3 air facility. Katawanga's upgrade does finish, so he's sitting on 56 hit points a second regen for his hull and 30 for his shield. Almost 2-star veterancy, and look at this. Bricks are pushing in with some Loyalists. They're moving in just a little bit. Will Katawanga's commander move in? Looks like he's just going to stand next to his troops and hang out, takes a nice little selfie, and send them off to war. You do see those missile launchers in the west have taken out the mechs as well as the PD that were built. So unfortunately for Naval, that is 9 mechs a second. He's not getting it now. Bricks are being dropped off. Interceptors take out both transports, saying no, can't do that. And look at this. Actually, the Viper is able to move across this little land bridge right here. I didn't even notice that. That is very annoying for Team 1 to have to deal with. And Team 2 will have to deal with it as well, but Team 1 isn't in the same land situation as Team 2. Still, the cruisers stacking up in the bay. The Team D situation still looks decently strong, but it's not super great. So they're going to have to, again, divvy up more resources, more APM to deal with that. And this might just be more of a distraction. It might not be, but at a minimum, it is doing something, which is always better than nothing. T3 artillery throwing shots at Katawanga. Everyone is forced to retreat by Team 1, or from Team 2, on Team 1 by Team 2. There we go. Again, English no good. Not really versed in the English language as much as I should be, even though it is my first language. I should be better at it, but I am not. I think I will blame my poor education, possibly. At least public school at a minimum. course, Naval dealing with the rest of those units moving that moved across that land bridge, and now in the middle, Bricks pushing in, get underneath the shields, go after the spearheads, the T3 mobile missile platforms, the very annoying ones, I might add, if you have to face off against them. Kanawanga gonna get some nice veterancy from that. Kill on a couple of Bricks, gets his mass killed to 5,000 3-star veterancy. He's going to be the front man for Team 1 with Tynet going back into the water in the northeast. He's going to be, I think, an air player for the time being. And Nabarwasser, where did he go? He's up here on this upper plateau hanging out. We just see the line of Bricks is forming. The conga line is going. Team 2 isn't really producing a lot of Othams as much as I think they might probably should be. There is some trebuchets moving over here, but I think most of Kamer's resources in the Seraphim department is just focused on producing Yenzine and kicking Team 1 out of the bay. It's probably the main focus. They don't want to spend too much mass on trying to get to T3 when they have just a horde of missiles inbound, which I don't blame them. That's definitely the smarter strategy. Lots of hive stacking up here. Possibly will assist this T3 air facility when it is done. T3 air is done for Scarecrow, so Team 2 has T3, Team 1 has T3, and at least one of the... Oh, this one did still not finish. Looks like the upgrade was paused for a little bit. I feel like the upgrade would have finished by now. But both teams have T3 air in some department, which is, of course, always better than having no T3 air facility. And the TMD being built as much as possible. Missiles being knocked out of the sky, trying to block out the sun with those missiles, but unfortunately the TMD is catching or staying up with them. Or keeping up with them, not staying up with them. I guess the phrase would work both ways, but I think keeping up with them would be the better phrase rather than staying up. And that land army getting a little bit too big for Team 1 to handle just with the commander alone and a couple of supporting units. He needs more Perseus. He has 2. Definitely needs about, I don't know, 100 times that at a minimum. And there's that missile redirect coming in. And of course the missiles were launched from a moving missile platform. So the missile might hit something, it might not. Misses. And where's the other missile? There's the other missile. Misses as well. And now it looks like the Loyalists are being targeted, if they are deliberately or not. Just one way or the other, they're just being shot at. And in the mass department, Team 1 still winning. Now the lead is about 60 mass versus 20 that it was 10 minutes ago. And it looks like Team 1's being pushed back a little bit. Not terribly. The T3 artillery is coming in nicely here for Team 2 to try to slowly push them out. Is there a T3 naval facility being built? Yes, there is. We might see the Neptune. Maybe we'll see the battleship. Maybe we'll see both. Battleship would be better off for the long-range engagements. The Neptune would be good for dealing with all the Yenzine. Just depends on whether Tynet wants to go for the longer range option or just deal with this option first and then go for long range. It just depends on his flavor, on his opinion of the match so far. We see a couple missiles laying into some bricks, and to be fair, this is a hefty chunk of bricks with a nice little Loyalist added in. Is that the only one? No, there's a couple more. They're kind of hidden with the wrecks nearby. Team 1 not putting as much effort into the land game. Team 2 putting a lot of it. They could easily steamroll essentially up to Katawanga's position at a minimum, but deciding not to do so. Maybe there's going to be an experimental build here shortly. There's at least a Strat Bomber built and a Tort Bomber built over there. Team 1 does have Navy in the north as well, so both sides of the pond technically owned by Team 1. That is not a great look for Team 2. They need to take care of one, if not both of them. And there goes that Lion Army, if not provoked from the ether, from my own, essentially just jinxing it. Team 2 engages. And Katawanga is in full retreat. He needs more PD, he needs more units, he needs more everything. And he just doesn't have a lot of any. And is now moving back. We do see that Nabarwasser moving in with his commander on a transport to get there even faster. What does he have on board? Transport does get shot. That's definitely not a good thing to do. And overcharge tills off a brick. Nabarwasser drops in and might just regret this. Gets a rank adventurancy to save himself from dropping into the red. Katawanga going to try to block for his teammate, and now the bricks steamrolling into both of these red players' positions. Does look like the bricks are coming into a nice little hillock here, or a nice little decline here. It looked like it was a hard cliff. That is a decline. They're going to probably go straight for this base over here, the only T3 air facility. Oh, actually, there's a secondary one up there, to be fair. There's 2 T3 air facilities online. Catawonga still being shot, but of course he had the shield to protect himself. Navarasser still looking fine. Now he's back in the green. Both of these commanders still doing well, but need to be careful. These units can easily turn around and go after one, if not both of them. T3 gunships online, but it's not going to do enough. Mex is going to go offline. Engineer is going to go offline. Pigeons are going to go offline. That's not good. Navarasser dropping into the yellow. We have to keep a lookout for these two. Catawonga dropping into the red. This could be a kill here for Team 1, or on Team 1 for Team 2, and there it goes. Navarasser drops into the red because of that explosion nearby. Bricks trying to catch up to that. Commander overcharges go out. He doesn't have any more veterans to gain, and there he goes. That is a double kill for Team 2. It goes from a 3v2 to a 2v1 in favor of Team 2 in favor of Team 1. And of course, on top of that double kill, this base here for Tynet is not necessarily gone, but it's seen better days. T3 Air Headquarters is still online, which is nice, but a couple of Pigeons taken offline, Engineers taken offline. This is going to be a lot of time to rebuild. There are still bricks inbound. Ravagers built up here. Omni, love to see it. Get some radar going online. Omni as well, to just make sure they know exactly what's in their base. No sneaky little cloaking cyber commanders running around. T1 PD hastily built. Will it be enough? One brick goes down. Another brick about to go down. That brick might get itself into the water. Probably will. There are still more bricks inbound. Team 2 has done an excellent job of just seizing the opportunity, and now due to that, they have gained ground in the Navy, at least in the north. T2 Naval Facility online, Torp Bombers online, as well as a host of T1 and T2 subs. Of course, they have to be sub-killers instead of sub-hunters, but they have to be different. That's just how it is. Navarasser pointing out there is a Fat Boy that Team 1 Tynet can build. How is his mass situation? Is he spending it? Ooh, he's about to be filled. He needs to spend it. He's losing power. He needs more P-gens. And those bricks still causing havoc. That's not going to help situations. Tynet was already leaking power, and now he's leaking even more power. He has a huge bar, but it's being depleted very, very quickly here. That's not going to do well. And then, of course, his mass income is going to be lessened because of that T3 air facility going down. I think it should be fine, to be fair. Still, that broadsword going after a couple of bricks. It was taking a while to finish that. Another Mex goes offline. Another Engineer goes offline. Another Mex is going to go offline. That might just be the deciding move for Team 2 to really get themselves not only in the lead, but stay in the lead for at least a while. T3 Naval Facility is online, I will admit, in the east here for Team 1's Tynet. And he went for the summit. I don't agree with that, only due to the fact that Team 2's camera has been pumping out units constantly, having the lasers from the Neptune online to deal with those units a lot more effectively, and then your battleships cannot be distracted by said Yenzine. They can focus on going after the main base. Just my 2 cents as a caster, as a avid fan, of course, as the UEF, or of the UEF. Just kind of a missed opportunity, in my opinion. We do see, of course, in the north, a couple of bricks still rampaging around these bases for Team 1. Team 2 just not letting up. Navarasser saying, hey, there's a Salem up here. And yes, there is. We could see some walking units here shortly. Wouldn't be the first time, and obviously it will not be the last. And still more bricks ravaging around, just causing nonsense and havoc and whatnot for Team 1's now remaining player of Tynet. Monkey Lord online for Scarecrow in the middle, and he might just throw that forward. There's nothing really on the land side of things that can stop this Monkey Lord. And even if it waits 3 or 4 minutes to get assisting units, that's probably going to be more than enough to steamroll the rest of Team 1's base. He needs to get defenses online, needs to get Percy's online, needs to get just the everything online. He has 2 T3 air facilities remaining, or at least the headquarters. He lost his one over here. And of course, is the one benefit of having everybody, or at least more than one player on your team is the same faction. If they build a headquarters and you lose yours, you technically still have a headquarters because it's the same faction. Mega started most likely. No, it's actually done here for Team 2's Kamer going after those summits, and that summit is dead. Definitely unfortunate for Team 1. Another one has been built. Again, it goes back to that whole, I feel like the Neptune would have been a little bit better in this engagement. Again, my 2 cents, but it does look like a lot of engineers are coming online to reclaim, as well as some destroyers. Maybe he'll switch to Coopers just to deal a lot of torps to that megalith. That megalith does have torp defense and torpedoes on board, very similar to the Monkey in that regard, so it is not vulnerable to torps. There are no torpedo defenses on board both of these summits, so unfortunately these units are defenseless against underwater threats of that like. A couple of Salem's breach the water and go on to land. There is a FAF point now online for Team 1's Tynet. It's actually moving away from the Salem. Don't understand that logic. You could easily just wipe the rest of those out. You could probably just stick the FAF point in this base and call it good. Of course, he's worried about the Monkey Lord down his center flank, which he definitely has to worry about. A couple of 3 Stingers inbound, and there's a couple of Percys nearby. Percys absolutely wrecked T4, T3 units. Of course, the Percys will give their life in service to their commander. They have done a service to them, and now an ASF fight does occur. Team 2 is in the lead for ASF count. There's a lot of interceptors distracting a couple of shots from those ASF, but there go the remaining ASFs for Team 1. There's still actually knows a little bit more that kind of came to say bye to their friends and then bye to themselves. And of course, that fighting did occur over Team 1's main door or frontline door or whatever you want to call this grassy area in front of that Fat Boy. It's going to be easy reclaim, but still the air advantage is in favor now of Team 2. I would presume that is at least air control. Yeah, that's at least air control, if not dominance. And not supremacy as of yet, but they are working on it. T2 Salem still causing havoc over here. T2 artillery pieces. The Clink Hammer is trying to tilt around and slowly move to get into firing arcs for that Salem. There is a Ravager in this base here, which will help deal with that. And a Titan trying to distract. Not going to be super successful, but it does distract a couple of shots from that one Salem to the north. Another group of bricks down the middle here for Team 2 Scarecrow, and that Fat Boy is gone. That Fat Boy is dead and gone. No hope of that Fat Boy coming back to life. It's still not dead, surprisingly enough, and does get a rank in veterancy, but it's not going to make... There, I was going to say, it's not going to make it to shield coverage. I would be astounded if it made it to that shield coverage, but it did not. In the water, Team 2's cameras now shoved Tynet away with all of the spam and that one megalith. 36,000 mass killed. All of those summits are gone. There's Coopers in the water over here. They have torps and torp defense. They can easily deal with that megalith, but he's not sending them in for some reason. Of course, they have all of the Zooey to contend with. The Coopers, unfortunately, are not subs, so they do not sit underneath the server, so they can still be targeted by hover units or land units, on top of course, the air units that have torpedoes on board. There is another summit online. Again, I still think you should be going for the Neptune. I just feel like you should be going for the Neptune in this situation. Yeah, again, the range is really, really, really nice, but the DPS is better in terms of if the Neptune is in range, and of course it has lasers. You can't miss with lasers. I mean, you can. You have to try very, 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 very hard, but you can. The accuracy is probably something like 98%, 99%, some nonsense. T2 artillery and T2 shields hastily being built, and T3, I might add, hastily being built by all these engineers trying to keep this position online. There is an Omni in there, which is nice. There's a backup over there. Love to see that. Oh, there was an Omni there. Good thing he does have a backup. And he has another one right there. So he has a backup on a backup. And then he had, of course, his main one, I guess. So that's his backup. That's a backup. Brick still control the middle of the map. No Othams as of yet here from Team 2's camera. Looks like he's just focusing on T2 and T1 hover. Which, I mean, he's winning the middle of the map. He's winning, his teammate's winning the northwestern side. And he's starting to win the southeastern side. So he doesn't really need T3 Seraphim. It's nice to have, but it's not necessary. Another summit was built. And as you can see, the Neptune, I mean, not the Neptune, the Summit is being absolutely dogpiled on by all of these Zui. I'm not trying to flame or, try to criticize too much of Tynet, but again, I still think the Neptune would have been a better choice for this situation and the situation before. But still, I feel like the Neptune would be better. Not that I'm necessarily biased, because I really like the Neptune, but I do think it would have been the better unit in that engagement. We do see a Fat Boy has been built over here to the east. Second one being built soon, probably after that SMD, which I don't know if the SMD is warranted. I don't see a nuke, but even if Team 2 wasn't building a nuke, having an SMD at a minimum covering something is better than nothing. Another one over here, not loaded, but it's over there. Artillery and engineers still holding on against all the Salems that are still pouring in. But to be fair, those Clink Hammers are outputting a lot of damage over here, as well as those shields being rebuilt and destroyed and built and destroyed, and the engineers dying and being thrown over here. We have some Corsairs coming in, taking out the P-Gens here for the secondary air grid here for Tynet. He's just bleeding everywhere. Brick Force over here. Fat Boy still under threat from Zed Brick Force. Shooting at the crab at the same time, I might add, so he's doing double duty on that front. There goes the Summit. T3 Naval Headquarters is, I would say not looking good, but that's definitely an understatement. There is one little Thunderhead frigate that tries to break through, but nope, gets denied by that crab. There's one naval unit left over here, and it's the other Thunderhead, which it looks like some Zui are coming in to take out. More bricks down the middle for Kamer. More Salems, question mark? No, well, there's another one, but looks like they're diminishing returns at this point. Shields are being kept online quite nicely. Artillery has been built up a lot. And those units over here that are not moving are gonna soon fall to the wayside. I don't know if their wrecks would be reclaimed by Team 1 at this point, but at least they're dead and they're not firing anymore, which is definitely better than nothing. We have some missiles over the middle. Actually, no, that's artillery, excuse me, from Team 2's trebuchets. It looks like one shot their teammate or their ally, but there was engineers or whatever nearby. It's definitely justified. I think they killed all of them in one shot, which is definitely impressive. No units being built on the back of that Fat Boy, for shame. But of course, there's a lot of things going on here for Tynet, so I will excuse them on that front. T3 Naval Facility is down. Team 2 looks very poised to win this game unless 2 comms magically just die for some reason or the other. Brass is done for Tynet. I don't know if that'll help at this point. T3 Engineering Suite on board gives them some hit points to survive with, but another airfight ensues. There is some AA coverage nearby, but Team 2 will still win the naval fight, the air fight. Just not enough ASF, not enough AA, not enough everything for Team 1. And it's just becoming a matter of how long will Team 2 keep the game going. Percy's just throwing themselves down the middle to just buy Tynet enough time to get some cohesive front line together. But there's Salems in the north who have backed off. There's a host of Zui inbound. When I say a host, I mean that is a host and a half of those Zui. Of course, the crab that's leading them is in the yellow. It is sitting at 4 star efficiency, so 100 hit points per second. And of course, it is at 154,000 possible hit points, which is just an absolutely metric ton of hit points. The Colossus, of course, starts with 99,999. It can't be an even 100,000. I don't know why. Maybe it's an integer thing. Maybe it's not. But still, devs, just give the Colossus one more HP. Oh, excuse me, please. Dying over here because that 1 HP. Shields are being built, PD are being built just to keep that crab at bay. But even if they do, the Zui are inbound. And I think at this point, the Zui are actually a worse situation here. Taking out P-Gens, taking out shields, taking out everything. Oh, will that P-Gen go down? Yes, it will. That P-Gen will possibly go down as well. This will be a little bit of reclaim for Team 1 to scoop up, but I don't know if they have time. There's just reclaim everywhere. Speaking of said reclaim, how much mass is on the field in terms of reclaim? That is a lot. Over 200,000 mass in reclaim. And in terms of the total mass accrued by both teams, Team 1, 183,000 mass. Team 2, 33. Wow, and it just goes to show you that is a lot of mass. Team 1 in the lead by almost 100,000 mass. So essentially, without the reclaim, Team 2 would be behind at least 200,000 mass at a minimum. They're producing only 422 mass versus 1,000 for Team 2. Strat Bombers over the top, taking out another chunk of the air grid. And Bug coming in to assist. Don't make your air grids like this. They're very volatile. Don't do this bad. I already had a video on this. The thumbnail was the air grid essentially deserved it. I don't think that was the exact text in the thumbnail, but it was to the effect of build shields. Build shields around your air grids. 46 minutes on the clock here, and I think Tynet is pretty much out of options. His Fat Boy is still alive, but he doesn't have any shields for it. His Percys have been dwindled down quite to the point where he just doesn't have anything, really. Bug taking out more P-gens. More artillery. Shields are down just because of the fact that he doesn't have power. He's building more and more Team 1 AA. That's not going to help against a Soul Ripper like that. Already seeing out 3-star efficiency for that thing. I feel like at this point, +2 is definitely warranted. You guys are bullies, says Tynet. GG's in chat from everybody. And I think Tynet might be out the door here shortly. If he doesn't control K, he'll probably die by Torp Bombers. That'll probably be my guess. Or it'd be very funny to have the Salems walk across the land and then kill him that way. That would also work. But the Zui coming in, taking out his original base. Soul Ripper ripping everything else apart. Salem's coming in, ripping up that base once again. Artillery emplacement over here on the hill. That's going to, or plateau, that's going to hurt. Soul Ripper are much stronger than I remember. They were quite... no. That would just need air pressure. And there goes the departure of Team 1's Tynet. He doesn't go out in a blaze of glory. He says, see ya, bye. Call it a day there. And Team 2 wins the fight here at 47 minutes, 48 seconds. And Team 1's MVP for this game, honestly, that one push down the middle, pretty much driven by, I think it was Scarecrow and then assisted by Kamer, I think, or one of the other. They're both Cyber and they both had essentially the same set of forces, at least in that engagement. I feel like both of them deserve MVP, but I might give it to Scarecrow just a little bit because I think he was the one that initially drove the wedge in, and then Kamer came in, got both of the kills, and then that's really what set Team 1 back was that one push that killed 2 commanders for Katawunga and Nabarwasser. And essentially it was just how long can Tynet stay alive. So I think, again, the remaining 2 players on Team 2 deserve MVP. Maybe Scarecrow for me gets a 50.1% and Kamer gets 49.9%. But again, I'm kind of just... They both did really good. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But again, thank you so much for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, please do the YouTube things that YouTube loves to see. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please share the video. Please do all the lovely things. Again, thank you so much for watching to, of course, the very end of this video. And as always, I will see all of you in the next one.